Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check the seasonal parks, but before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Also, comment on what you want to see next. So right now we don't have any seasonal packs, they are similar to the limited packs in that they give you a skin, a weapon, but they instead of giving you an SR weapon, they give you a supporter. So we're gonna analyze all the ones that we have received, and for that, let me check. I'm gonna start by putting the recent like this, yeah. So seasonal packs. Which seasonal packs have we received? If I'm not mistaken, the first one was Sakura's Magical Girl seasonal pack. For this, you receive the skin. If you buy the pack, you receive one copy of the weapon and one copy of the supporter. Let's see the supporter here. So an important thing to take into consideration is that these are going to be given in a campaign, and when you get all the copies F2P, you are gonna have a weapon and a supporter at S3. You get the S4 with the pack, and that's pretty unfortunate. Gremory, for some reason, has decided to do this, and that means that we cannot get the weapon and supporter S5 if we pay for it. So that's terrible because it forces us to use nanomachines and demonite to enhance this. I hope that in the future Gremory decides to periodically release select tickets, not random tickets, which allow us to get this kind of weapon and supporters. That would allow us to get extra copies of the ones that we want, to maximize the ones that we have at S4. So Gremory, I'm looking at you. Please release more tickets, select tickets for seasonal weapons and supporters. So another important thing, this comes the copies of this comes in the form of campaigns. Right now I don't have any mission campaigns, but they come in mission campaigns, they come in some mini events like these ones, they come in the weekly missions. They also appear in the arena shop here. And super important, one copy of the supporter usually comes in the desire shop, and that's the most difficult one to get because you need to build up your desire. So yeah, everything else is pretty F2P, but sometimes completing the supporter is not that easy. So back to Sakura. Now that you know all of this, we're gonna analyze the supporter itself and the weapon. So Sakura is a pretty fortunate character. At the beginning we thought this was pretty bad for the most part. It says reduces damage taken from all enemies by 30% when max out. That's generally good, it's useful, I won't deny. But the other effect wasn't that impressive at first. Damage dealt by familiars increased by 40%. The thing is that most characters have familiars. Most characters who have familiars do deal damage with them, but it's not their main source of damage. It's just like a third of their attacks is gonna deal damage with familiars. So it is good that they increase the damage with those, but it's not that impressive. But when we receive Shisui, most of the damage comes from the familiar. In fact, her basics are pretty bad. So this is like a 40% damage increase for Shisui in general. That's amazing. But for characters like Sakura, yeah, there are some attacks that works with familiars. Noah and Astaroth also have those, but it's like not that great. The damage reduction fortunately generic good, so you can use it. And even though it's not the biggest, it is serviceable. Then, it has an extra passive. During melee attacks, has a 25% chance to increase the duration of one buff on oneself for 2 seconds. Not bad, I gotta admit. But it isn't that great either. Well, and there's a reason why we have this effect, because Sakura does have a couple buff, but more importantly, the active gives you a buff. It says, with the swing of a magical wand stick, deals damage and increases damage dealt to all enemies by 50% for 6 seconds. It is a great supporter to have on the main. The damage is whatever, well, it's not whatever, it's actually over 1,000, and that's good, a good amount of damage. But the important part is that 50% damage increase. It's only 6 seconds, but if you're using it on a melee attacker, you have the chance to increase the duration, and that's amazing. And if that melee attacker happens to be super fast or have a butterfly weapon, that's gonna be even better. So this is actually a great supporter, but this is deceiving. The fact that it increases damage for familiars is deceiving, but it's pretty good for Shisui, for example, or for someone who wants to reduce damage. Then we have the weapon. The weapon, Twinkle Riser. Twinkle Riser is pretty good too. Like, amazing. I have it 5 out of 5 because I got a copy on one of those random tickets that we got from some packs or campaigns. And it says, passive. Normal attacks makes an enemy unable to attack for 5 seconds. So it disarms the enemy. I don't know why they put this in, and they just instead put disarm, but whatever. And familiar damage is increased by 40%. That's good for Sakura. So even though it's not on all attacks, it's gonna help out whenever she uses a shadow to, I mean, a shadow monster to attack. Applies every 10 seconds. So it is okay that this has a cooldown, because if not, it would be too busted. And besides, you can already make it super busted by just adding Witch-Su into the mix. It's gonna be amazing for anyone who uses this. And the active summons a ghost for 16 seconds, up to one ghost. So you can only summon one ghost. The ghost, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty annoying because no. The slow was a thing from the stage effect from the secret quest. No, forget about it. It's just a ghost and it attacks the enemy, and it's not that impressive actually. But at least it has increased damage. Let's see. So this set is actually pretty good. What's the problem now that we are checking? Like, should you get it? The problem is that right now, whenever there's a repeat of this, you can only buy the pack. And that's terrible, because there's little value to gain from this if you didn't get the other copies. Like, it is good to have, but you're not gonna reduce that much damage or increase that much damage and have a ton of HP. So really, you don't want to get the pack on the reruns other than the skin. If you want it for the skin, that's fine, but it's not gonna be that valuable, the supporter and the weapon, unless you heavily invest on them by using nanomachines and demonize. If you buy each monthly pack of those, well, perhaps if you're a super whale, you can buy this even if you didn't get it the first time. So it's a thing. Maybe in the future, my opinion which will change if Gremory decides to do something about the issue that they don't give repeats of the extra copies. So, but in general, if you do have the copies, this is very useful. Despite it wasn't before, but now it is, thanks to Shisui. Now, another one This one I don't have because this is pretty bad. The skin looks nice, I won't deny. But the supporter and the weapon, poor thing, Rinko. If I'm not mistaken, was it red? I don't even know what color it was. Was it green? Okay, Aha, here it is. She's red. So, the supporter, poor thing. As you see, I have it S2 because it was pretty bad. I'm missing the one from the pack, of course, but I'm also missing the one from the Desire, so that's why I have it S2. Because look at the fact. Reduces critical damage of the enemy by 16%. So I guess that's gonna become like 30% when max out, probably, or 25 maybe. Okay, that's pretty bad because it's not doing anything unless you get a critical hit. That's bad in itself. Remove two debuffs at a chance of 10% when attacked. 10%! And I need to get hit and I don't get any kind of damage reduction? No, this is bad. I'm not using this. Okay, so let's omit the passive and let's see if the extra passive and the active can save this. Has a 5% chance to deal 60% of damage. That makes the enemy groggy during melee attacks. So I have to be super fast attacker. I'm a super fast melee attacker to make the enemy groggy. Is that it? That's terrible. 10% it's already like too little. 5% is even worse. So this is not convincing anyone to buy this. And the active. A Kuton bullet falls from the sky and explodes, dealing damage and creating a black hole that pulls the enemy nearby. The pulling effect is pretty good. That's nice for CC, as it's going to allow you to keep attacking, and everyone is going to all the enemies are going to gather in front of you, and then you're gonna break their super armor. That's nice, but it is not super busted, especially for challenging content. It's not like that impressive on challenging content either. It's just good for farming on or starting builds. So, no, this supporter is terrible in every way. Well, the art is nice, but everything else on the effect department is pretty bad. Then we have the weapon. The weapon is going to be Innocencia Blue. This is not that bad. It says fires two rose sharp Kuton bullets. When doing that, deal 45. Let's see. I'm going to equip it just to see. Yeah, it's gonna be like 60. Yeah, let's say 60. It's gonna deal 60 damage and decrease the remaining cooldown time of a skill by 30%. Reactivates every 10 seconds. That passive is not that bad. It lets you abuse your skills, but it's just a 30%. So it is not that great either. If it was like 50 on 5 seconds, I would be pleased, but well, it is not that great. When doing that deals damage. It doesn't say when it fires the Kudan bullets. Like every second, every what? Every time you do an attack, fires two roses when doing that deal damage. They need to rephrase it. It's like when dealing damage, fires to Kuron. I'm not sure. Well, if that was the case, it would be busted. I guess I'll test it. Why not? Increase damage dealt to every enemy by let's see, 30%. It's gonna be 30% when max out. That's pretty good actually. The active is not bad. So let's see. Let's test it very quickly. It's already equipped. I go here. And I'm just going to attack. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to do basics. I don't see the Kuton. Okay, I'm gonna use a skill. And I don't see the cooldown reduction. How does this passive activates? Oh, when... Or just goes eventually? Well, it seems when evade has a chance to do it, or every 10 seconds. Hmm. Well, the cooldown is pretty nice. The cooldown reduction is pretty nice. But that definition doesn't say that you need to evade to do the to launch those bullets. So to fire the bullets. That's pretty bad. And the skins is nice, as I said. It's okay. I didn't know that I could. Ah, it's rotating. Okay, I thought that it was moving to the other side. So okay, yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Let's see. Um, recent like this. Another one that got here. I'm gonna go in not in order of release, but according to what I have at hand. So another one that got her seasonal is Asagi. Asagi is like okay-ish, not super good, but acceptable for the most part. The skin is nice, yeah, sure. But what about this supporter? So, let's see, like this. When below 30% HP increases fortitude by 14%. That's a chance to ignore damage, if I'm not mistaken. The fortitude. And I still need to ask Gremory how that works so that I can share that with you, just like I did with the awakening stuff that do work even on unawakened characters. Let's see. So when HP below 30%, increase fortitude by 14%. That's pretty bad because you need to be under 30% to get that effect, and that's risky, too risky. You would have to have like a huge amount of HP, and if you have a huge amount of HP, it's because you're going to face something that requires that amount of HP, which normal attacks or just skills are going to uh, like destroy your HP. So it is pretty bad that the activation condition is below 30%. This has to be between 75 and 50% to be serviceable. I always say that, but let's continue. Reduce damage taken from demon type enemies by 30% and increase damage dealt to demon type enemies by 30%. So I am not sure if this is always active. I'm gonna test it. So let's see. What I'm going to do is simply this. So if I'm not mistaken, this is human, so I'm gonna do a basic attack. And it's 9, not crit, 24 and 99 if it's human. But if it's demon, okay, it is always active. That's a good thing. The damage increase against demons is always active. The fortitude effect it's only active when it's below 30% HP. So that's great. That's great. It is a good supporter for your characters if you are facing a demon type enemy. Now, it has an extra passive for humans. If this is on the main, it's going to increase the speed by 10%. That's amazing. That's super good. The speed increase, I always say that's good. That the speed increase is nice. The active deals a stun attack by shooting. Deals additional damage to demon type enemies. So this skill has over 1,000 damage, and it deals extra damage to demon type enemies. So that's good. Unfortunately, it doesn't say how much, but at least it deals more damage. So it is a generic good supporter that you can use against demons. That's fine. And the weapon. Increase attack speed of Senjinka by 40% and adds 3 additional attacks. So it is good that you get an speed increase while also getting additional attacks, because it's kind of going to compensate. The skill is kind of gonna last the same, but it's going to perform more attacks. That's nice. A cross-shaped energy blast is left at the spot of Senjinka and deals 240% damage over time. So let's test that also so that you can see the effect. But I need to equip Senjinka, this one. So yeah, those one additional attack with green, increases speed with blue, and makes the enemy bleed with 60% of damage. So I think that green and blue are the best ones. So let's see. If I'm not mistaken, this is a hold attack. Yeah, that's pretty good for dealing with multiple enemies. But the idea is that you want to gather them so that you hit all of them. Yeah, it's nice, it's nice. And the animation looks a little bit different in my opinion. If I'm not mistaken, if I remove this and I put whatever, it's going to be like not that. No, it is kind of the same, but you deal more damage because you do more hits, so it's fine. It is an okay weapon. It is not busted, but it is okay. Sakura's is busted. Let's see. Another one that has character pack is going to be. No, this is by number. This is by recent. So another one that has a character pack is Shiranui. Shiranui, yep. This is her skin. She looks pretty nice. You can remove this. You can change the color. This looks exactly like Bride, like Japanese Bride, but whatever. So yeah, she has this. She has this weapon, and the excellent supporter. If you really are going to invest your nano machines on one of these limited character packs, do it on Shiranui. Where is Shiranui? Yes, here she is. So why do I say this? I got the copy of the supporter with one of those random tickets. I was very lucky. So damage dealt with melee attacks is increased by 26%, and damage taken from melee attack is decreased by 26%. I always prefer to have 30%, but if it's double effects, usually that's the amount that they give. Passive, extra passive. Increase damage dealt by 40% for 3 seconds when dodging every 5 seconds. That's great! Only 2 seconds downtime. That's amazing. Active. Creates a puddle that slows down the enemies that are in the area by 40% and increases damage dealt on them by 40% over 10 seconds for 10 seconds. So that's great. You're gonna get a ton of damage by using this. So it is an excellent supporter. I do recommend that you get this. But as usual, it is rough if you didn't get to be part in the event. So and Gremory, please add tickets to get this stuff. Let's see. The next one. Sabertooth Guando. So reduces the cooldown of Senko. Senko, that's the name. Senko for 4 seconds. When using Senko Illusion, turns into a tiger, and particles are recharged by 10%. So you're gonna get one sphere of your particles when using Senko. And let's check Senko. Senko is gonna be the same command as Rondo. So Let me tell you something. Usually Rondo is gonna be better, but you're gonna make Senko viable if you have that weapon. If you have not awakened Shiranui up to level 81, then it is okay to use Senko. In fact, you want to use Senko because it gives you HP recovery. If you, the animation is that it's going to restore damage. Yeah, add a range attack that throws a water illusion. Yeah, she's gonna throw one of those water illusions like herself. It's not herself, but it's a woman. She throws a woman at the at the enemy in front of her. That's the thing. The tiger is gonna increase the damage. No, not the damage. The area of effect because it's gonna be a tiger rather than a woman, and it's bulkier. Okay, so it makes this weapon, this skill, not as useless compared to Rondo. That's the thing. Rondo's still better. So the weapon is not that impressive, but serviceable. And the supporter is busted. You want it. So yeah. Then we have Yuki. Oh, Yuki. Another one that I didn't get. This is the skin. The priestess skin. Shaman. Okay, shaman. If you want to say that. Okay. So and her tan. Okay. So that's the skin. The supporter. Yeah. Wow. The supporter reduces the attack damage. Another one that I don't have. I didn't get the copy on um, what's the name on the Desire Shop because it's that bad. Reduces the attack of demon type enemies by, okay, let's say 30%, probably 30%. Yeah, because it's for 30%. For 10 seconds when they appear. If it was a perma effect, it wouldn't be as bad. But no, it's only for 10 seconds. And it's damage reduction. No, well, not damage reduction. It's attack damage reduction on the enemy. It's not like you get the damage reduction on yourself. The enemy themselves got that. So it is not that great. It is better to have perma damage reduction on yourself. Then damage dealt to demon type enemies increase by, let's say, 30% when maxed out. So that is usable actually, not that bad. But this first effect is horrible. Then the extra passive. Reduce damage taken from all enemies by 60%. What? When HP drops below 20%. What did I just say? If you want to give me a 60, that is pretty good. I won't deny it's a big damage reduction. Give me that on 50. 50% of my HP, not 20. That's too risky. And restores 30% of lost HP after 10 seconds. So I have to survive for 10 seconds with 20% HP and the added defense. No, thank you. So, I mean, there is a catch about this, but I would have to test it later. I'm not gonna test it right now. Let's just say that this effect activates and you permanently gain the 60% damage reduction. You could recover HP with an attack after receiving the buff, and then you are going to have a lot of HP and you're gonna have a lot of damage reduction. That would be nice. In fact, Yuki can recover HP, so it is not as bad if this is permanent. But if it's not permanent, then it's pretty bad. Then, fires a crab-shaped lightning strike ahead, dealing damage, and stuns all enemies within the area. A stun is valuable when you can stun, but if the enemy has super armor, it is not. So, it is pretty bad that the active is not as valuable if this is permanent. So yeah, this I do not recommend that you get. And the weapon. The weapon says, uh-huh, it's gonna be a 30%. Normal attacks have a 10% to ensnare the enemy and increase damage dealt to the target by 30% for 4 seconds. So, yeah, that 10% is not that great, especially on normal attacks, because Yuki, though is a ranged attacker, she's kind of slow on her normal attacks, so that's not great. Uh, for 4 seconds, the attack increase and the snare are not lasting too long on a 10%, in my opinion, considering the attack speed of Yuki. Adds additional effect support to supporter set effect of Rajudyne. So you need to activate the supporter effect of Rajudyne to actually get this. So let's see. Reduce the speed of the bullet by 50%. I know people. There were people who dislike Ingrid's attack because it was super slow. But actually, the slower the bullet, the better, because those bullets do deal multi hits on the enemies. So the slower they go, the more multi hits they're gonna hit before they pass through the enemy. So that's good. Amount of satellite bullets and damage increase. The duration of the skill is decreased. I guess, because this one is going to do multiple bullets already, so I guess it's gonna be 3. Makes the enemy groggy and triple the frequency of consecutive attacks. Triple the. Well, that's good. Tripling the. What's the name of the skill again? Rajudyne. 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 So, if this triple the size of the bullets and make it slower, that's great. Creates 2 satellite bullets. It's gonna add another satellite orb when hitting, and it's gonna deal more damage. This you want to do at close range so that it deals more damage to the enemy, because it's going to disappear faster. Double the frequency of consecutive attacks. It's going to triple the speed is not going to be reduced, but it's going to triple the frequency of attacks. That can work. That can work. So the weapon is not as bad. The main effect, this one, the speed decrease, the snare and damage increase on normal attacks is not that impressive. But the other part, it is pretty impressive. So usable. Definitely very usable for Yuki. But again, if you didn't get the copies, then it's like, I don't think that you want to get it. Let's see, Murasaki has one? No. Emily has one. Yes, Emily has one. Emily has this one. Blessed Singer. Blessed Singer, okay. Blessed Singer is one of the most appealing ones. It is pretty nice. It has a different hairstyle, by the way. That's appreciated. So, this is one that you want to get guaranteed. Just like what's the name? Shiranoise. Shiranoise. So, unfortunately, the supporter is trash. I didn't get the supporter in the Desire Shop because it is pretty bad. It says reduces the duration of debuffs or stuns on you by 15%. Let's say that's 20%. Yeah. And increases critical rate of all attacks by 25%. So, critical rate is not going to be a thing on BR, which is the most challenging content. 25% critical rate increase is not that bad, actually, on all attacks, because it's not just range attacks. But, I mean, you can gain critical rate just by increasing the level, the enchantment of your weapon, so it is not that good. Increases 40 to default ally characters for 5 seconds by 50%. Did I tell you that 42 is going to block damage? Well, that at 50% it's nice. When HP is below 20%, what? Same as ever. You want these like super great effects on 50% because uh, there are stages where one hit is going to kill you, so you don't want it to activate on 20%. Activates once per battle. That's bad, but acceptable because it's 50 on Fortitude. Reduces damage taken by allies by 50% and restores particles of the characters by 40% for 5 seconds, for 15 seconds by cleansing spirit. So it's a 60% cooldown time to get this, and you're gonna get it for 15 seconds. So yeah, the duration is pretty good. The active is the active effects are really really good. So okay, perhaps I'm being too critical of this, and getting the extra copy, not getting the extra copy was a mistake. But yeah, the passive doesn't convince me, but the active is pretty good. Except this 20% part, but I guess it's not that terrible because if you use the active, you're going to resist more damage. Uh, so it's going to be easier to activate to survive rather than die before you reach if you reach 20%. So yeah, this is not bad, but it relies too much on the active. That's the thing. And why do you want this set like guaranteed? Because of the weapon. Every 50 combos increases damage of allies for 8 seconds by 4%. Stack up to six times. So that's gonna be what? Let's see, 24% damage increase. And Emily's gonna do that, no problem. She's like, as long as you're not piloting her or she has zero system, she's gonna do that. And when hit by melee attacks, angels will blow their trumpets and deal damage to the surrounding enemies, knocking them back and giving allies super armor for 4 seconds every 10 seconds. That's amazing. She One of the problems is that if she gets hit, she's gonna get interrupted, but then she's gonna knock back the enemies. So that's great. That's super super good. You do want this weapon. Let's see. The next one is gonna be Kurenai. Kurenai does have a seasonal set. It's gonna be one time school band. Pretty nice. I gotta admit, you can take off the jacket. You can change the color. You can take off the these things. I just forgot, but whatever. And it has this weapon, which is pretty good, and this supporter, which is not exactly good nor bad. It's like not right, but it does something good. So what's the problem with this? Increases damage against enemies in the air by 50% and increases damage against stunned enemies by 30%. So what's the problem here? That for both things you need to the enemy not to have super armor. If you're using on VR a double Aska White Feather Aska strategy, then you're probably going to be able to use this. And look at this. If both effects are in if you're activating both effects, you're gonna get a 80% damage increase. That's huge. And it works by itself. Has a 30% chance to decrease the supporter's skill remaining cooldown by 10% when doing a melee attack to an enemy in there. That's, I mean, you want to put them in the air, and Kurenai can put the enemies in the air. Active stuns the enemy and deals damage. And the damage is great. Okay? So, to put it bluntly, it is pretty good, but you do need to rely on the double White Feather Ask strategy on VR. If you don't have that, then it's pretty bad. And if you are facing the enemy on solo content, then probably it's not going to be useful. Depends if you can break the super armor consistently or not. And the weapon, it's okay. It's actually pretty good. When using Tornado Render, increases the speed of allies by 40% for 5 seconds and increases damage of Tornado Rend by 60%. It is great that it doesn't require you to use a specific color. So let's check Tornado Rend. Tornado Rend. This you can use on a mixed build. That's good. Because you can have the main blue and you can use any other colors. For example, to stun the enemy with green. Or to keep the tornado in place with red. But you can also use it with pure blue to keep the enemy in the air with the knock-up effect. And this is going to also give you a knock-up effect. So that's good. And this is also going to give you a knock-up effect. It's a knockback, but it launches the enemy, so it's going to put it in the air. So Grenade can work pretty well with this. But it relies on the fact that you can break or not the super armor. If you cannot, this is not going to be good. If you can, then it's going to be great. And the weapon is generally good. Especially good on BR, by the way, because it increases the speed of all allies. Let's see. Oboro, if I'm not mistaken, she doesn't. No, she doesn't have. Asuka. This is the skin. Let's see. I cannot say any. I shouldn't say any comments or jokes regarding the skin. So let's see. This is gonna be the skin and the weapon. Another must-have. Why is this another must-have? The supporter is not that impressive. I did get the supporter, but it says increases critical rate of range attacks by 30%. That's, usable, yeah, for sure. Reduces damage taken by 6% per enemy nearby. I hate the per nearby part. I prefer there we go. I prefer the effect to be 30% all the time, because if you're facing one single boss let's say Mask Taimanin, then you prefer that. But it is not that bad. Then increases damage of ally machine type characters by 16%. This is actually pretty good on VR. You can make builds with this kind of effects to just destroy the enemy. And it deals damage and ensnares the enemy. So, though the active is not super impressive, the passive is not super impressive, the active is very impressive. Snare is a great effect, and damage increase on allies, it's a great effect. Let's see. The weapon. Restore HP by 4% of damage dealt by Kill 'em all missiles. Increase damage of Kill 'em all missiles by 100% against super armor. That's great. Asuka is missing HP recovery, and this gives her HP recovery. It literally solves the problem of Asuka playing on difficult content. So, it's amazing. That's why I use a Demonite on this one. Let's see. The next one is going to be Kirara. Kirara also has one of those. It's going to be the Christmas seasonal custom. She uses this weapon and the Kirara supporter. So, it's another one that's really worth it. Another must-have. The supporter itself. The weapon is okay-ish. Where are you, Kirara? Here she is. So, increases damage dealt to debuffed enemies by 40% and restores 8% of lost HP every 7 seconds until HP is below 15%. If you hit 15%, you're not gonna restore HP anymore. But the damage increase is amazing. It's basically Susune, but better. Then, the extra passive deals 200% damage to enemies nearby and freezes them for 2 seconds when killing the enemy. This is like a really good effect, but it's like super balanced in the way that you cannot abuse it. So, for those who don't know, freeze is going to literally stop the enemy. It's gonna freeze it, and you're going to be able to uh, deal double damage the next time you hit the enemy, but it's going to unfreeze the enemy. That is pretty good and pretty busted if you use it with what's the name? A skill, yeah. And give me one moment. I need to drink. I am coughing too much. So the thing is that you need to kill an enemy, and it only lasts 2 seconds. The short duration is no problem. In fact, the effect is going to be around you. The enemies that are near you are going to be afflicted with freeze. Uh, it has a very short area of effect that, but it's very valuable because you deal more damage. But you also need enemies to be like mobs. You need a ton of mobs on that stage, and that's a problem because not like in the case of Queen Arachne, it's not going to be that effective, that passive because the enemies are ranged attackers, so they are usually not near Queen Arachne. Only on the last phase of Queen Arachne there are going to be enemies near her, and the what's the name the the enemies on machine actually are more prompt to be near the bosses, so you can use this effect on the bosses. So this works better on machine VR if you want to know. The active. A snowflake covers the ground, deal damage to enemies, and increases the character's speed by 10% for 10 seconds when in the area. So it's limited to the area, but it gives you a speed increase, and as always, that's really appreciated. So, excellent supporter. The weapon, on the other hand, deals wait a moment deals 300% of damage to the enemies within a certain area using particles when using the skill Frigid Zone, which is the perfect evade that slows the enemy. The skill won't activate and with insufficient particles, so you're gonna deal more damage when you activate this. It is not that impressive. Has a 30% chance of recharging particles by 10% when attacked. So yeah, what's the problem here? That I mean, it's just a means to deal a little bit more damage when using Frigid Zone. Frigid Zone. But this has a 14%, 14, no percent, 14-second cooldown. And let's see, increase the duration by 50%. Yeah, on red it's pretty good because it's gonna last longer. But it doesn't say the duration. Yeah, so you preferably want to use this on red so that you have more time to hit the enemies. It is. The weapon is whatever, honestly. But okay, let's see. Ingrid has one. I think not. No, this was. This is not. No, she doesn't have. So, if I'm not mistaken, she doesn't have. Fel. Noah. No. Astaroth? No. Felicia, no, if I'm not mistaken. No. My god. Actually, I'm gonna check with the supporters. Collection supporters. So, looking at this, I'm going to have them for sure. So, we have. Where are we? Where are we? Oh, yeah, I already checked this. and we haven't received any since her. So it was this one, this one, this one, go this one, go back, go back, go back. Mm, these are special cases. These I'm gonna analyze it, but it's not a seasonal exactly, because we didn't get four copies. Uh, let's see. Oh, I'm missing Emily's. The other Emily's. Yeah, Emily has two. Okay, let's see. Here, here, and this one. So yeah, I'm just missing Emily's, and I'm gonna also analyze Sakura. So let's check Emily's to begin with. Emily here. So I don't have that one because I didn't think it was good. The skin is pretty nice. I won't deny. Look at that arm, robotic arm. Pretty nice, pretty good. The cowboy bikini, but for this one, this is blue. Yeah, this. And the weapon, the weapon is also not bad. So what does this do? Increases critical rate of range attacks. It's gonna be by, let's say, 15%, and reduces critical rate of the enemies by, it's 5 per copy, and I'm missing 3. So 40%. Reduces the critical rate of the enemy's attacks by 40%. So the enemy is not going to crit you. Yeah, both effects are pretty lame. So it's preferable to reduce damage by having damage reduction instead of avoiding the crits. You want that as a passive effect, like the awakening skills, not on a supporter's passive. So has a 20% chance of disarming the attacker for 4 seconds when attacked every 15 seconds. That's a pretty good effect. And I mean, really, really good. But, unfortunately, it is not good because of this active, of this passive. If the passive was a defensive passive, like damage reduction, like HP increase, it would be amazing. But it's not, so you don't want to use it that way. Active pulls and binds enemies for a specific spot using a rope. The missiles fall on top of the enemy and deal damage with a knockback attack. Whatever active. So yeah, only the second passive is really impressive, but it cannot be used effectively because this doesn't have damage reduction. It's a shame, really. And the weapon is actually pretty nice. It says adds auto dodging function to zero system. It is unnecessary when you are strong enough, but it is appreciated. I won't deny. Normal attacks deal an additional how much it's going to be. Okay, 300% of damage using 10% of particles every 5 seconds. I have my doubts about this one. I'm going to test it. So, yeah. If they give you a buff, it doesn't say that it gives you a buff. If it's like one attack is going to consume your particles and is going to deal more damage, that's pretty bad. And it just does it just because. It's not even that great because it's not. Oh no. It doesn't give me a buff. So that means that one attack, one instance, is going to have extra damage. That's not good. If it was like a buff, it would be great. So it's just a whatever weapon, in my opinion. Yeah, not that impressive because it doesn't do the evade when enemies get near or when you're going to receive an attack. It just use it like periodically, and that's not great. Well, I guess it's fine. Just fine. I do not recommend you get that unless you want the skin. The skin is pretty nice. And just to finish, we're gonna check Asagi. Here, Asagi. We're gonna check Asagi. This is not seasonal. This is event. This was a reward for a bingo event, and it is a nice skin. And this one came with yeah, it doesn't have a weapon. It doesn't have a weapon. Like, this is her weapon for this, but this was from the event. What's the name? The event for releasing Anne Rose. Anne Rose, yes. The first time she was introduced into the game, we had a versus event and we got this. So reduces the enemy's speed for 1 second when using Rakusenka. So I'm gonna show you Rakusenka. Rakusenka is the all blue. It's terrible because it's only 1 second. Let's say that it increases, but it's a falling attack. It has a long animation, so that's pretty bad. So this is going to give me what? 2 seconds at max. Okay, that's bad. Increases basic attack damage by 30% and increases critical rate of skills by 30%. That's also bad because the skills don't synergize. If it was like increased critical rate of basics, that would be super good. But it increases damage for basics and increases critical rate for skills. So they don't synergize. That's bad. Let's see. I want to see the stats. The stats are not bad, it seems. But yeah, we cannot get another copy of this, unfortunately. Let's see. And the supporter. The supporter is amazing. If you got the 3 copies that were available in the bingo, this is one of the best supporters in the game. Like, for defensive blue, especially on humans. So, it gives you a very unique effect in immunity to slow. And that's appreciated for some stages. And when if we receive more aggressive content, where the enemy is going to apply onto us those VR strategies that we're using, then this is going to be insane value. Just by being immune to slow, you're going to prevent some nasty things. But that's just in case we receive that kind of content. And this is pretty good on VR against Queen Arachne, because she's not going to slow you. Increases max HP of human type characters by 30% when max out. That's great. I mean, if you enchant this is going to give you a lot of HP, but it's going to give you even more. It's great for tank builds, it's amazing. And Asagi can go tank, just so that you know. Passive. Normal melee attacks increases speed by 2% for 4 seconds. Stack up to 10 times. That's great. That's super good. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long, but who cares? As long as you're able to quickly attack the enemy, that's going to be fast. That's going to be great. And deals damage, a very good amount of damage, to nearby enemies, and reduces their speed by 20%. So you're going to be able to abuse your speed increase even more. That's great. So this is one of the best supporters in the game for defensive. So that's nice. That's nice. So yeah, and that's about it. Those are all the seasonal supporters and weapons and skins that we have. It's been a while since the last one, so I guess next month, not next month, well, yes, next month, because it's already March, but next month probably we're gonna receive one of those seasonals. I hope that's the case. So I hope you like it. I hope that you find this useful. Tell me if you think that it's worth it to get those skins, those packs, if you miss the campaign to get the copies of the weapon and supporter. So I'll see you in the comments, and I'll be back for the next video next time. Bye!